everyone, and welcome to a new video. Today's video is going to be another vintage sewing pattern haul. And I say another because a few weeks, or potentially months, since I'm not sure when this will be going up, I ended up posting a vintage pattern haul where I shared 60 patterns I'd purchased on eBay with all of you. And at the time that seemed like a lot of patterns because it was my first time purchasing patterns with the intention of reselling them as opposed to adding them to add into my own collection. So 60 patterns was a lot, but I've decided to up the ante, and in this haul I'll be sharing with you 400 patterns. Now all of these came from the same estate. I saw a listing for this estate online and they had a photo of a few vintage patterns, so I decided to contact the person hosting the sale and asked if they would be willing to sell them and if they had more. And it turns out whoever lived at this estate was a serious collector and probably a reseller of vintage patterns themselves. The person I was talking to kept finding boxes upon boxes of patterns as they went through this woman's basement, and they ended up finding about 650 patterns in total. And they agreed to send them all to me. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing the first lot of them, which came to me in 2 huge boxes, and there were 400 patterns in total, the earliest of which are from the 1920s and the latest of which are from the 1960s. The vast majority fall in between those 2 decades, with most of them being from the 40s and 50s. I realize this video is very, very long, but considering how many patterns I had to go through, I'm pretty impressed I managed to keep it under 2 hours. So I don't expect everyone to be interested in this, or for the people who are interested to make it through the whole thing, but I do hope that you enjoy it, what you do manage to watch of it. And I'd say that I will talk to all of you very soon, but you're going to be listening to me talk for potentially next hour and a half. So I'll talk to you then, and I will see you later. So my massive lot of 400 patterns has arrived, and right now you're just seeing a teeny tiny bit of it. The camera is zoomed out as it possibly can be, and it's still only capturing maybe a quarter of my table. My table is completely covered with patterns, like several inches high, and it's a big table. So I'm not really sure how to film this because there's seriously so much to go through, but I think I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit and then maybe take a break and do some organizing and then come back to it. I don't know if I'll be able to go through every single pattern in this video just because there are 400 of them, but I will do my absolute best. Right here we have a very old pattern. This is the new mccall pattern, and it says patented in 1921, and it's in a size 36. It's described as a ladies slip-on blouse, and it looks to be in excellent condition for its age, and it looks like all the pieces are present, which is fantastic. Here we have a mccall's blouse pattern, a really simple cute design, a size 14, and this feels like it's either missing pieces or it's completely unused because it feels like a very thin envelope, which implies that it's either missing pieces or that the pieces are very neatly folded. We have a men's advanced pattern which feels factory folded. It's kind of an interesting design actually. We have an advanced pattern, which is in a size 8, so it's made for a 26-inch bust. I'm not sure which size of child that equates to, but it's a really cute design, and it feels factory folded. Here we have a simplicity pattern. I would date this as being late 30s, maybe early 40s. It's a really, really cute design, with kind of the option to make a skirt and a blouse or a complete dress. And it's got gathers and pin tucks and an interesting yoke and inverted box pleats and pockets and just lots of fun, interesting details. And it's in a size 14. Here's a 30s pattern from mccall's. It's very fitted in the waist with a lot of volume through the bust and a pointed collar. Here we have a mccall's printed pattern with transfers for a children's size 2 garment. This is another kid's pattern that feels factory folded, and that's in a size 7. Here we have a new Excella beginner's pattern. I don't think I've ever had an Excella pattern before, and this is in a size 16. It's a very, very cute 1930s dress with top stitched on flouncy sleeves. Here's a mccall's pattern in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust from the 1950s, if I didn't say that. It's got a relatively full skirt and these really large decorative pockets. Here are 2 patterns that are nearly identical, but one is 50 cents and one is 65 cents, so they're clearly from different years. They're both mccall's patterns. I think she sorted her patterns by brand to a certain degree, so that's probably why these 2 were so close to each other. And they both have tucks in the front and this little kind of a lapped button portion, which is interesting, and they're both size 16s. This is a wrap dress, or maybe it's just a loosely fitted dress that could be fitted in at the waist with a belt. Regardless, quite cute. Looks quite easy to make with just a few pieces. Here's a 50s a simplicity pattern with a gored skirt and a little notched collar. Another mccall's pattern. This one feels quite puffy, like it's been well used or maybe just poorly folded. This is a junior's 2-piece suit dress. I really like the shaping at the back here. I feel like that's incredibly flattering. Like I'm almost tempted to keep this one, but it's in a size 15, so it's for a 35-inch bust. Okay, this one is stunning. I'd put this at being late 30s, very early 40s. It has a dickie that you can make to wear underneath it, and then it has a long sleeve and a short sleeve version of the dress. And this is a mccall's pattern, and it's before the logo changed, so I think that placed it as being in the 30s. Here's a late 30s, early 40s simplicity pattern, a very cute design with either puffed sleeves with an inverted box pleat to form a cuff, or long fitted sleeves, and it looks like it has a partial circle skirt, or almost a partial circle skirt to form a cord skirt. We've reached a little patch of table. This is a simplicity printed pattern in a size 12. It feels factory folded. It's for a bunch of cute little blouses. I love the different color and pocket options. I feel like this would be a really flattering, easy make. And as I said, feels in very good condition. Here's a 40s pattern by Simplicity. I think this is in a size 14 since it says 32-inch bust on there. This is for a jacket and a skirt set. And unfortunately, one of the poor illustrations is missing their head. This is a late 30s, early 40s Butterick pattern. It's before Butterick changed their branding as well, and this is in a size 14 for 32-inch bust. It's got a few different yoke options, and then gathers that shape it through the bust, and a little collar that's cut one with the yoke of the bodice that just flips outward. The first skirt pattern, this is Simplicity skirt pattern in size 26. This is actually a pattern that I have at my stash, but this is in much better condition. The one that I have already is kind of falling apart, whereas this feels like it almost might be factory folded. And this is for a vest and a skirt with these really interesting military style pockets. If I could find this pattern my size, I'd probably keep it, but I'm definitely not a size 14. This is a size 16 mccall's pattern, and this one is a whole $1, so prices are clearly increasing here. I love the design for this. I think it's really cool. It's got a really wide, large lapel at the front, and it dips down to a fitted waist with tucks, and then there are these pockets on the skirt that actually flip around to the back and form like a yoke coming down from the waist, and then it looks like it's pleated or gathered in the back to create the effect of like a little train. It's very cool. I've never seen anything quite like it before, and then it also comes with a dickie pattern. Very interesting. This one is again late 30s, early 40s. This is in a size 16 for 34-inch bust. I don't feel like this would be particularly flattering on me, but I really like kind of the very simple skirt and then this double tiered kind of tucked effect that they've done on the hem of the jacket. It's very effective, very interesting, and I love the styling of this illustration. Just the hat and everything is so cute with like the little matching shoes. I love it. And it looks very simple just going off the artwork at the back as well. This is a late 40s, early 50s pattern. It kind of has elements of both designs, and just for a dress with a flip out collar and a few different sleeve options, and then a cord skirt. As you can see in the back, it has 4 panels that would each be cut out twice to create that skirt effect. A few more late 40s, early 30s simplicity patterns. This one is really cute. It's got kind of a little jacket option you can make to go with this dress. Again, you see that heavily gored skirt. And I forget what this kind of placket detail or yoke detail at the front is called, where the collar comes outward from it, but it's really interesting and effective. And then here is a much simpler design. This feels like it might be factory folded or at least neatly folded. Again, I would say late 30s, early 40s. It's in a size 16, and this has gathers coming down from a yoke to shape it over the bust, and then the front panel's gathered as well. And it looks like there's an option for functional pockets, which is always nice to see. Then here we have a mccall's printed pattern from the 1920s for a girl's dress. It's a very cute little pattern, and it feels like it's in really excellent condition as well. Here's a Mrs. blouse from the 20s. It's a very practical, kind of effective looking blouse, and it's in a great size. It's in a size 38, which is for a 38-inch bust. So that's equivalent to like a vintage size 18 or 20. We've created another haul, so I'm just going to take a little break and do a very quick sort, and then I'll be back. Maybe next time I do a sort, I'll film it, but right now my setup is just keeping the 1920s patterns out of the way since they're kind of special. Then I have a box for random brands, a box for mccall's, a box for Simplicity, a box for children's, and a box for men's. And I might have to reevaluate at some point, but that's where I am right now. And right on top here we have another pattern for the men's collection. There's some weird pencil markings on the front of this. I don't really know what to say about this. Either someone was practicing their signature, their initials, or their penmanship just in general. Just giving it a quick once over to make sure there's nothing offensive on there. There's actually a note on the back of it that says factory folded assumed complete, which is how I tend to describe factory folded patterns, so that's interesting. Here we have another one that feels factory folded. This is an advanced pattern in a size 12 from the 40s. I really like this yoke effect on the dolman sleeves, and then shaped with gathers and closes down the front and has little tucks over the hips and waist. This was in my size or closer to my size. I'd probably keep it just because this looks like a summer dress I'd love to wear, but a size 12 is too small for me to even consider grading or altering to fit me. Possible, just not something I'm interested in doing. And here we have a little cluster of Hollywood patterns. Hollywood patterns are my favorite, but I think most of these are quite small, so I probably won't be keeping them. But here we have a suit pattern in a size 14 from the 1940s, probably mid-1940s based on the hem length. And this is based off of Betty Garble of 20th Century Fox. This is a pattern for a 12-year-old girl, I'm assuming is what that means. And it comes with a slip pattern as well as this really cute dress. And this might even be from the 30s, and it feels factory folded. It feels really nicely folded in there. This, if it was in my size, I'd definitely keep. I feel like I've seen this on eBay before. It's a really cute kind of split skirt, and then a blouse that again has that kind of placket yoke collar detail. This is again a size 14, so it's for a 32-inch bust. I might actually own this pattern in my size, or one very similar to it. This is number 905 and for a jumper with a decorative pocket and pleats and a side placket closure. Then you can also make a blouse with either long or short sleeves. This is based off of Dorothy Levitt. That was the kind of gimmick of Hollywood patterns, is that they were all based off of famous ladies from the times. This is actually the one that I own. So I have this in a size 18 or 20, which is better suited for me. This one's a size 16, so it's for a 34-inch bust. And this one is for the jumper, and then I believe you can also make a collared blouse. Actually, no, I'm wrong. This is just for the jumper, and the jumper alone. Here we have a Hollywood pattern for boxers, and I've never seen this pattern before. I'm probably going to put this up on eBay just because I don't know what this would go for. I've seen men's boxers patterns go for quite a bit before because I've paid quite a bit for one before. I bought them to use as a pajama shorts pattern, so I'm not really sure what to price that at, but I hope it's in good condition. It doesn't feel like there's a lot in there, but it's also a pretty sparse pattern if we're just going off the back. Here we have a beautiful 1930s dress based on Marjorie Woodworth. I love that name, even though I have trouble saying it. And I love all of the bow details on this dress. I wonder if those are actually marked on the pattern. Probably not, but it would be fun if they were. And this feels like it's factory folded, or at least neatly folded, and like it's in excellent condition aside from this giant text across the front, which is unfortunate. It's also in a size 12, so it probably won't sell for quite a lot since that's a pretty rare smaller size. This one is in a size 14, so it's for a 34-inch bust, and it's a really, really cute, I feel like I'm saying that about all of these, but they really are just such lovely designs. Late 30s or early 40s dress with a partial circle skirt to create that effect of volume, and a yoke over the shoulder, and a double lapel, and a very wide waistband with loops and decorative pockets. It's just a fun pattern. I like that a lot. Here you can see the kind of play on a circle skirt that creates that volume in the skirt. Here we have a damaged, probably later 50s pattern by Butterick, and this in a size 16 and it's for a 36-inch bust. Comparatively, the Hollywood pattern we just saw in a size 16 was made for a 34-inch bust, and that's partially because it's earlier, but Hollywood patterns also tend to run, or tend to be quite a bit smaller than the larger comparative brands at the time's measurements. Anyway, this is for a cape or a cloak, which is awesome, and then you can also make this fitted dress or skirt to go underneath it. And they have a long and a short version of the cape, which is awesome. This feels very puffy, like it has been used or opened up at least and then poorly folded. The envelope is also kind of coming apart, but if you can follow it, you can make something from it, and that's what patterns are made for. Here we have another Butterick pattern. This one is in considerably better condition. This is for a size 16, 34-inch bust. Actually, which shows that this is a little bit earlier than the other one since it is made for smaller measurements before they updated them. And this is for a partial circle skirt with a seam at the center front, center back, as well as this jacket kind of bodice thing. And this feels like it might be factory folded. It feels very like sturdy and neat and tidy. Here's an advanced pattern for the 1940s, and this in a size 20 for a 38-inch bust. I like this pattern a lot. It's just like a nice utilitarian sort of blouse pattern, and it feels factory folded. However, I will not be keeping this because I don't really like advanced patterns, but hopefully it can go to a good home. Oh, and actually, here we have the same exact advanced pattern. It's slightly more faded, but it's also in better condition. There's less wear to the envelope, and it's in a size 14 for a 32-inch bust instead. Here I have a simplicity pattern from the 50s for a pair of pajamas, kind of Asian inspired pajamas I would say, just given the closure and the mandarin collar. This is an advanced pattern in a size 16. It feels kind of like it's all been filled in the bottom, so I wouldn't be surprised if pieces are missing, but the envelope itself is in nice condition. And I've just set this aside because I'm actually paying a different price for the patterns from the 60s than all of the other ones, so I have to kind of do some dating myself. Here we have an advanced pattern with a photo on it, which you don't see very often. That means it's clearly quite later, and this is in a size 16. You have the option to make this little jacket as well as a fitted sheath dress to go underneath it. Another later advanced pattern, I love the artwork on this one, just the commitment to the fuchsia color scheme is great. And this feels like it might be factory folded and it's in a size 16. Here we have another advanced pattern, this one's from the 40s and it feels like it might be factory folded. It's in a size 12, so it's much too small for me, but the lines of it are really, really nice. I like them a lot. And it looks like this sold for 99 cents on November 27th, 2000. And it was purchased by Julia, so I guess that was the owner's name. This is a Hollywood pattern that is clearly worse for wear, but it is quite cute. It's probably from the 30s, and it's for a nightgown for someone who is 4 years old. At least that's what I'm assuming 4 years means. This is another size 4 pattern. This is also very worse for wear, but it's really cute. It's for skiing costumes or winter costumes for a little boy or girl, and it's just darling. What can you make out of this? It looks like you can make the hood, you can make a coat with various different collars, you can make suspender pants, and then there's something mentioned about a helmet in there too. So I guess this would be the helmet and then this would be the hood. And then you can make the jacket either with a zippered front or double-breasted with a collar. And then there are the pants, which I guess have hidden suspenders. This one is marked as complete. It's a very nice condition, envelope-wise, at least advanced pattern for a size 2. And I love the heart-shaped pockets with little ruffles around it. It's darling. And they described it as complete undated and that it looks unused. Here we have a Hollywood pattern for a 10-year-old, and again it has a really cute little heart pocket, lots of little ruffles, a few different color options as well as a placket option. You can make it with long sleeve or puff sleeves, and they are adorable, and this is listed as being complete and unprinted. This is a McCall's pattern. I'm not sure when this would be from, probably early 40s. It's in a size 14 for a 32-inch bust. The envelope has seen some wear to it. It also feels like it might not be nicely folded in there. We'll have to open it up and see. But first I have to do another little rearranging. I had a little pocket of what looks to be Hollywood pattern children's patterns. This was labeled as being 1 year. Feels very, very thin. So either it's factory folded and it's never been used or it's missing pieces. But when I look at it, there aren't supposed to be very many pieces in there, and I'm assuming if it's for that small of a child, then the pieces themselves wouldn't be very large. So who knows? This is listed as 8 years. It's a really cute puffed or scalloped sleeve pattern. If this wasn't my size, I would definitely keep it. It's such a darling Hollywood pattern for a 32-inch bust. They just do the cutest little ruffle options on these. I love them. And you also have the option of doing a scalloped lapel and scalloped front, and it's fitted with little tucks over the shoulder, which just looks great. I love the kind of fitted epaulette with gathers or pleats, or especially the tucks coming down from it. I just think it's a very nice look. Another Hollywood pattern, this one is in a size 14 as well for a 32-inch bust. This one's kind of interesting. It actually is pieced, so there's a piece here, and then this kind of stops there and then continues to the side. So it's a style that you would see a lot with historical costumes, but not one I'm especially used to seeing with vintage garments. So that's interesting. And I've never seen this font. I guess it's the same font. I've never seen this envelope design with the Hollywood pattern. It is 15 cents, so it's the same price as the other one, so maybe they were just trying out different packaging. I don't know. This one feels like it's been used. It feels weirdly folded, and it's for a 4-year-old. And again, just a dress with inverted pleats and really cute little puffed sleeves. Here we have a 1950s McCall's pattern for a suit. It's a very striking suit with a really cool asymmetrical design. This is a simplicity pattern, and it's kind of a neat design. It's got a few different asymmetrical options where the kind of bottom portion is pulled up to create a bow over the hip, which is neat. And then it looks like it has a few different neckline and sleeve options as well. So you can make this with dolman sleeves or long sleeves or fitted sleeves or 3/4 length sleeves. Just lots of options to keep you busy, which is cool. Which means it probably has quite a few pieces in there, but the flap's covering it, so can't tell. This is a bathing suit pattern. What a fun design. I feel like this is probably a junior's pattern given the styling, which means it's in a smaller size, but where the size has actually teared away. So I guess I'll have to measure the pieces or check the pieces to see if it's listed, but what a cute design. Very, very cute. I don't think I'd ever make my own swimsuit, but if I did, it would be this because it's adorable. This pattern has seen better days, but it is an advanced pattern in a size 16. It has a really interesting sleeve detail where the sleeve is actually, or like the arm side is pleated over top of the sleeve and then top stitched down. You see this a lot with uniforms and stuff, but you don't usually see it with dresses. This is a worse for wear simplicity pattern in a size 16. I'm not sure how they thought this ribbon situation was going to help keep it together, but it is a cute pattern. It has sort of dolman sleeves, but it's also kind of like a combination between dolman and raglan sleeves. I've never seen anything quite like it before, and I actually really like it. Maybe I will keep this one to myself just because I think given its level of decay, it wouldn't sell for quite a lot. And I really like the fact that it has that little shoulder detail and that it's got a few different lapel options, and also that buttons down the front. That's probably my favorite sort of closure, just because I think it looks really nice and also makes the dress really easy to get on and off. This is an Excella pattern from the 1930s. It looks like you have a few different sleeve options in there. And aside from the other Excella pattern I showed you, I think this is one of the first ones I'm adding to my collection. This is a simplicity pattern from the 1940s. Probably mid-1940s given the shorter skirt length, and it's a size 16 for a 34-inch bust, and it's very fitted, very simple, but just a nice little suit pattern. This one is cool. I love this giant collar option. This is a dolman sleeve blouse pattern by McCall's in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust, and it looks like it buttons down the back and is shaped with tucks at the waist. It's actually a really pretty long line blouse. I'm deeply tempted to keep that. I think it looks really cool. I'm going to try and talk myself out of it, but I do really like that as a blouse pattern. It looks very simple to make and very striking to wear. Though maybe I'm just being won over by this massive bow, because I do love a massive bow. Here we have a simplicity pattern from the 60s. Very mod, very kind of shapeless. Not one that I'm particularly attracted to, but hopefully someone will like it. It seems to be in remarkably good condition. And it feels like it might be factory folded in there. Here's a simplicity pattern from the late 40s or early 50s. This is quite similar on the kind of dolman meets raglan sleeve style that it has going on. That it's kind of a notched sleeve design, and then has a seam down the front, actually down the entire front, which is interesting. And it's in a size 14 for a 32-inch bust. Here we have a very deteriorated simplicity pattern. This envelope is just falling apart, but hopefully the tissue itself is in okay shape. This is a blouse pattern with a few different options. You can make it with long sleeves, you can make it with dolman sleeves, or you can make it with shorter sleeves, and has a few different collar options as well. And again, it has that detail where it's cut kind of like a yoke or an epaulette at the shoulder, and then shaping coming down from that as opposed to having darts to shape the bust. So I really like that. Again, that might be one I end up keeping just because it is quite deteriorated and I do like the design of it. Here's a McCall's pattern, probably from the 50s or 60s, not quite sure. Very cute, size 13 for a 31-inch bust. And just a few different blouse options, buttons down the front. Feels like it might be factory folded in there, and the envelope's in remarkably good condition. Here's a size 12 pattern by Butterick. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. It looks like you can make a set of bloomers, you can make kind of a house coat, you can make a set of pajamas, or you can make a house dress. They show all the various different options here. So it's kind of peculiar. What do they describe it as? Mrs. Sleepwear coordinates. I'm not sure who would wear that to sleep, but maybe people in the 50s were just far more distinguished than I am. Actually, I know they were, but I didn't think they were distinguished enough to wear a dress like that to bed, but who knows. This is a simplicity pattern in a size 16. Looks like you can make a little jacket or a circle skirt. And it also has patterns for the blouse in there, and it looks like it's a blouse with pin tuck details. I thought this was just straight fabric, but no, it is actually a pin tuck detail, and the blouse has dolman sleeves. Kind of a different sort of pattern art style on this one. Here we have a size 30 pencil skirt pattern, probably from the 60s or the late 50s. It doesn't say on it. Oh, I actually have another pattern like this. The interesting thing about these is that they came in 3 different lengths. So there was an option if you're between 5'8" and 5'10", an option if you're between 5'6" and 5'7", an option if you're between 5'3" and 5.5 inches. So that means whether you're petite, standard, or tall, you have a skirt option that is best suited for you. Another advanced pattern here. It feels like the tissue is missing from the top, which makes me think it has been refolded and used. This is in a size 16.5, and half sizes are generally petite sizes, and they're made to accommodate someone of a smaller stature. This is a pretty simple design with a shawl collar. Again, it has that design detail where the arm side kind of laps over the head of the sleeve and is stitched down, and it's got an interesting notched pocket design, but is otherwise pretty simple. Here we have a Butterick pattern, probably from the 50s, and this is in a size 16. The envelope looks fantastic and it feels like it might be factory folded. It feels really neatly folded in there. And I love this skirt design. It's got these box pleats or these tucks to mimic the appearance of box pleats at the front, and then it's just fitted with darts at the back. But this collar style I don't feel is particularly flattering on me. It definitely looks amazing on some people though. So that will go to a good home, I'm sure. Here we have another buttered pattern, this one from the 40s. You have a few different options in here. Both are quite simple 1940s style dresses shaped with gathers and a placket down the front, but this one has an option to use horizontal bands and kind of to take advantage of a striped print. This is a worse for wear buttered pattern in a size 32, and this is for a jacket or a vest. This is a New York pattern. I don't have very many of those in my collection. I have followed one before though. I used a really weird quilting cotton covered with fish, but this one is a boys pattern in a size 8, and it looks like you can make overalls or a jacket or a jumpsuit. Or boiler suit, I guess they're called. And this feels like it might be factory folded. Here we have a few skirt patterns. So we have a butterick skirt pattern in a size 26, made for a 26-inch waist. And the fact that they're wearing ballet shoes with these makes me think that might be the inspiration behind this design. Though the envelope is torn, this feels neatly folded, like it might be factory folded in there. Actually, it's probably a little bit too bulkily folded for factory folds, but we'll see. There are only 5 pieces and they're all rectangles. This is a Vogue pattern, and the length makes me think that it could be from the 30s, but it's just in such good condition. Like, I can't imagine it being from the 30s and being this impeccable. And it's in a good size. It's her 28-inch waist and 37-inch hips, and it's got a kind of placket closure at the front with decorative knife plates and darts to shape it, and then the waistband buttons in the front as well. This is another very clean pattern. Let me see if I can find one for comparison. Usually the patterns kind of age and darken, whereas this one is a bright, bright white. And I've actually seen this before where it's almost made out of like a laminated paper, which tends to be much sturdier and hold up much better. I'm not sure why only some of them were made this way, but the ones that I do have like this are in much better condition than others. And this for a 38-inch waist. It's a pretty simple pattern. I'm assuming it's just rectangles, and then it's gathered at the sides of the waist. Yep, this is a 3-piece pattern. This is the whole skirt, and then you have 2 different waistband options. This is a buttered pattern, and I haven't seen this type of branding before. This is a really, really interesting design with dolman sleeves and then this kind of notched overlapping front. I'm not sure how it closes. It must close with a side placket, or maybe you can just unbutton this portion and that gives you enough space to get it on and off. Very interesting. Here you can see it in a little bit more detail, so you can see the yoke and the facing and the collar and how it's all done that way. And this is for a 32-inch bust. I've come across another cluster of advanced patterns. So this is for a dolman sleeve blouse. I really like their kind of pom-pom trim choice here. This feels like it's factory folded, as in a size 12. I feel like I might have another copy of this that I got in another lot. It's an advanced pattern with button cuffs, and you can make a puff sleeve version or an elbow length version. This feels factory folded as well and is in a size 16. This is a children's pattern in a size 8. This is a 1960s Vogue, again with that branding I'm less familiar with, and this for a 36-inch bust. It's in a size 16. This is a wrap dress. I guess it's not a wrap dress, it's just asymmetrical. It looks like it just closes with a button or potentially some sort of hidden closure on the side, which is nice. I feel like that'd be really comfy, and it looks nicely fitted in the back with darts too, so it could be quite flattering as well. This is a mail order pattern, probably from the 60s, and it's in a size 13, and it feels factory folded, or at the very least quite neatly folded. This is a super cute advanced pattern. I love the collar on this, and the cuffs. You've got these really large cuffs that just make me think of like a historical jacket or something. This feels factory folded. It's in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust, and then you also have this partial circle skirt or potentially gathered circle skirt pattern with a few little details around the hem. It's a take on a circle skirt. This actually looks kind of simple for an advanced pattern, but I shouldn't keep it. I don't need it, but it's so cute. So cute. And now I have to do another little rearranging, and then I'll be back. I've been filming for like 40 minutes, and I cannot tell you how little of a dent I have made in this pile. But let's just keep on going through it. The fun keeps on happening. So I've rearranged stuff a little bit, so there's more of a fresh pile to go through. And right on top here we have a 1930s pattern, and I think this is a New York & Company pattern, but I'm not completely sure. This is for a 34-inch bust. It actually has a picture on the cover, which is interesting. It looks like you can make a jacket as well as a dress, and it's really kind of an interesting design for a dress. Probably not one I'm going to keep though. This is a later Hollywood pattern. It says 34-inch bust, so it's a size 16. This has a really cool asymmetrical button closure that looks like it'd be really flattering too in how it sits over the hips. And it looks like you can insert a ruffle in there and also have this kind of swath of fabric over the shoulder too. So there are a few different options there. Here's another Hollywood pattern, again a size 16. This one has dolman sleeves, but again it's sort of that raglan sleeve style. So there's actually a seam down the center of the sleeve that gives it shape over the shoulder, and then it turns into this yoke. So you can cut it to be a dolman sleeve option or just carry those seams down to have a full bishop sleeve. And it's got double decorative stitching, which should reinforce the waistband as well and make it a little bit sturdier and more flattering. And here you can see that sleeve pattern. The seam doesn't actually continue all the way down, it's just a very large dart at the shoulder. Here we have a mccall's pattern in a size 6 to 8, which feels like it's in great shape. Feels like it might be factory folded and the envelope's remarkably clean. This is for a clown or a jester, and it's gender neutral. You can make this for a boy or for a girl. This is a mccall's pattern. The envelope is in okay condition, except it's missing the size information, so hopefully that's printed on the pattern. And this is just for a double-breasted fitted dress, probably for the late 50s. And you can make this with a few different lapel options, I think. It also has decorative pockets and lots of darts to make it fit really sharply through the skirt. And it feels neatly folded, and there are little check marks across each piece, which hopefully means it's complete. Here we have a children's pattern that's labeled as being cut complete and says that the transfers are included. And this is for someone who's 6 months. It's for a child's dress and bonnet. This is so cute. Oh my gosh. I was saying in my group chat the other day that some of these kids' patterns are so cute they make me want to have children. And I realize that's a terrible idea and I'm not going to do it, but that is just the level of adorableness that they make me question my future life choices. But this is for a child's suspender skirt with buttoned-in petticoat and easily made. So it's just a circle skirt, and then I guess they give you a few different decoration options. But seriously, so cute and feels factory folded. And also says it includes a transfer, so I'm assuming that's the transfer in question. This is a Barbie pattern. I'm not sure when this is from, maybe the 60s? I really know nothing about dolls' patterns. Like, there's how much I know about children's patterns, and then there's how much I know about dolls' patterns. The dolls are way below the bar for children, and the bar for children is not particularly high. This is a 70s patterns by mccall. It's Walt Disney's cartoon feature, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. It's for this jumper dress or for this jumpsuit with snaps down the leg seam for easy removal. And then you can also make a bloomers version or a short version. Very, very cute and feels like it's factory folded in there. Oh, it says on the back, copyright 1968. So I was wrong about saying the 70s, but cute nonetheless. Here we have a 50s pattern from mccall's. It is a Mrs. Shorty's Pajamas choice of tops. This is so cute. Like, I want someone to make this and then do a sleepover slumber party photo shoot with like teddy bears and those gaudy lacy curtains from the 60s. It would be adorable. Please someone buy this and make that happen, because I'm too lazy and not cute enough to do it, but it would be so cute if the right person did it. And by right person, I mean anyone willing to invest the energy other than me. This is a children's pattern from the 60s. It says it's designed by Helen Lee and it's in a size 6. It's in a size 3. And it looks like there's a hat pattern included as well. This feels like it might be factory folded. This looks like a design for the 70s, but based on the envelope, I'm guessing this is from the 50s or 60s. And this is for a robe in 2 lengths for girls. And then this is a child's jumper or dress and blouse, and it's labeled as being easy to sew. It is also by mccall's in a size 6. And this is another case where you can really see an envelope that's stayed in very crisp white condition and another that's kind of faded to more of a yellow. Here we have more 60s patterns for children. This is in a size 10, this is in a size 6. This is for girls' pajamas in 2 lengths and nightshirt with transfer for monogram. And we have a girl's dress and coat, size 10. This is really, really cute. Like, so cute. It's a little short, but still very cute. And I wonder if you can make the hat too. I feel like it should include a hat pattern. It does not include a hat pattern. That is a tragedy, but it's still cute. Here we have a mccall's pattern in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. I feel like I've actually considered bidding on a pattern very similar to this before. It's got an inverted box sleeve at the front, it's got optional pockets, it's got an optional lapel, and then this really interesting kind of yoke detail. And then you have 2 different sleeve options. You can make bishop sleeves or these. Yeah, okay. I was wondering if they were like lantern sleeves, which is just the kind of a shorter, wider version of bishop sleeves, or if they actually didn't have a cuff at all and they were just large like this. But it looks like they do narrow down to a cuff, and you can also make a version with short sleeves as well. These are labeled as being incomplete, and let's hope these are the only incomplete ones in this entire lot. That would be fantastic. And let's just take a peek at what's in here. We have a boys shirt pattern by mccall's in a very taped and worn envelope. We have an advanced boys shirt pattern. We have an advanced pattern from 1949 in a size 14. And this is taped together and holding on with a prayer. This person has fabulous handwriting, and it's dated January 31st, 1947. It's an advanced pattern for a child size 1. A boy's pajama pattern and another boy's shirt pattern. I guess they have bad luck with boys' short shirt patterns. Here we have a butterick printed pattern, quite a bit of wear to the envelope, but a really cute design. It's sort of a jacket that's fitted in the waist and then fitted over the hips as well. And at the waist there are gathers instead of darts to make it over the breadth of the back. Really cool design, and it's size 16, so for a 34-inch bust. And it feels, I don't know if you can even see in there, it is not folded particularly nicely. It feels quite puffy, and I'm not sure that I see instructions in there, which is not particularly promising. Here's a size 16 suit pattern from Simplicity. This feels very similar to something we saw earlier, but I like the shape of this a lot. You have a partial circle skirt, and then a jacket that flares out to this really kind of prominent flouncy peplum, which I like. And it's got a scalloped lapel design, which is interesting. And then it's fitted with seams over the front and over the back. And you need those seams to be there instead of darts or anything to create all of the volume in the peplum. Here we have a whole bunch more kids patterns to go through. So this is a McCall's printed pattern with a transfer in a size 4. It's really, really cute. It's called a child self-help apron. And it says a ding-dong school pattern, which feels really offensive, but maybe it isn't. Then this is a men's shirt pattern in a size large. I think that says tried tie belt. Fine tied belt, I'm not sure. This is a McCall's printed pattern in a size 4. It's called a girl's dress, babushka, and petticoat. Not suitable for chubby girls. That's sweet. It's nice they mentioned that. A few 50s or 60s patterns. Looks like they were purchased as part of the same lot. Also in a size 4 and looks to be in really good condition. I really like the detail on the sleeve there. This is a really darling sailor style pattern. Not in quite a good condition. The illustration on this one's just darling, but again, a size 4. Then this in a size 8 and a girl's nightgown in 2-length or shorty gown and pants. Easy to sew, not suitable for chubby girls. Great how they keep reiterating that. Here we have a worse for wear Simplicity pattern from the 1930s in a size 16. I like the design of this a lot. I'm tempted to keep this. Depending on the condition, I might. So you can make a jacket with, again, that really interesting kind of yoke turning into the sleeve detail. And then the sleeves themselves are scalloped and it's got a few different color options. The jacket buttons down the front and is fitted with darts at the waist, and then you can make this skirt. Or you can make a dress and you can do these lantern sleeves with an interesting pleated volume detail. I like this design the most. I don't really make jacket or suit patterns just because I don't really have a reason to wear them. But I love the version with the shorter sleeves. I think they're adorable. You can see how the sleeve is done here, actually. Very, very, very cute. Speaking of very cute, here's another one that will be hard to part with. This is a Hollywood pattern based off of Frances Guilford of Paramount. This has a scooped yoke shoulder piece, and then the neckline itself is almost scooped as well. Closes with buttons down the front and has a wide waistband. It also has pockets that are also in that kind of a rounded shape to mimic the yoke around the neckline, and then the sleeves themselves are overlapping. I forget what that's called, but almost like leaves. They just kind of encase the arm in a really flattering manner. And I love the bold rickrack choice they've done for this illustration. And it feels like it might be factory folded. It's described as being a one-piece dress or housecoat, so it's actually not super fitted at the waist. Instead, it's taken in with a tie at the back, which means it'd be super comfortable too, which is all the more reason to keep it, because I love being comfortable. And I see a few more Hollywood patterns, but I have to readjust once again. So I'm back, and I just sort of scooped up a pile of what looked like Hollywood patterns and put them over here. I don't know how this woman organized her patterns or how they were reorganized into the boxes prior to shipping, because I know they were at least taken out of her original storage system to be counted. It seems like she kind of organized them by brand, so that's why we've got a bunch of advanced patterns here and a bunch of Hollywood patterns here as well. Let's actually do the advanced ones first because they're kind of on top here. So we have an advanced pattern that feels factory folded. It looks to be, at least, in great condition in a size 14. This is for a 1940s dress. Got that yoke detail at the shoulder and then shaped with gathers and tucks down the front as opposed to darts. And it's got tucks or pleats that are top stitched down to shape the front of the skirt. And then it looks like it has seams to shape the back of the skirt. This one also feels folded. Another advanced pattern from the 40s. This one might even be from the late 30s. I find it difficult to date that period. But this is in a size 40, so it's for a 40-inch bust, which is kind of rare to see. And this has a cuffed sleeve option as well as a long bishop sleeve version. Here are two advanced children's patterns for little tiny girls' dresses, which are just adorable. They're both in a size 2. And here we have another example of the fading difference that you see with envelopes. So this one is much darker than this one. This is a 1960s pattern by Advance. It's part of their So Easy collection and it's in a size 18 for a 38-inch bust. And it feels factory folded in there, or at least neatly folded. Here we have a bloomer and panty pattern. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be, if that's like a scale or toilet bowl or diving board. I don't know, it's very weird. But we have a pair of top pants or a pair of bloomers, and it's in a size 14 for a 26-inch waist. And it feels like it might be factory folded in there. This is a smock pattern. It's a cute smock pattern at that, and it feels like it might be factory folded. It's for a 36 to 38-inch bust. This is a children's pattern for a coat, and it looks like you can make them a hat too. I love hat patterns. It's in a size 3, and it's described as being 15 pieces and looks used. So yeah, you can make a coat, which is gender neutral, and then you can make the girl's hat or the boy's hat. Now, I think it's mostly Hollywood patterns, and we can bridge the gap between them with this 3 years pattern. This is so darling. It looks like you can make kind of a boiler suit, or I guess it's a jacket over a pair of pants with suspenders. And then you can also make kind of a pair of overalls, and you can cut the pants pattern off to make a pair of shorts as well. So you can see it in a little bit more detail there. So yeah, it's for a pair of shorts with a bib top or a jacket. This is a Hollywood pattern for someone of 12 years. It looks like 2 pieces, but I think it's actually a dress based on the way it looks seamed together. And this you can make with ruffles trimming it or contrasting materials. You can make it with contrasting cuffs and a different color of skirt and jacket and contrasting lapels, and just really have fun with it as a design. And it seems to button down the front and be shaped with darts, and then have gathers over the hips and a tie at the back to cinch it a little bit more. This one is for 8 years, again a Hollywood pattern in a cute little dress. I really love the fabric choices with Hollywood patterns, how they use contrasting fabrics and like heart-shaped buttons and bric-a-brac, and they just really seem to have fun with it. This one feels like it might be factory folded, and this is called 1 years, and this is called an infant set. So you can make a coat, you can make a dress, or you can make a slip. And then they also have instructions for a crocheted dress inside, which is interesting. Another 12 years pattern. This looks like you can make a slip, or you can make kind of a dress with almost mock military details to it. So you can have decorative buttons going down the front, or make it more feminine by inserting ruffles into the seams. And it has really short puffed sleeves. Now onto some of the women's patterns. So this is a size 12, so it's for a 30-inch bust, and it's based off of Mary Carlisle. I think I have another Mary Carlisle Hollywood pattern, but I know she was pretty famous at the time, so she probably had multiple. And this is a 1930s, I would say, late 1930s style dress. The sleeves are puffed with an inverted box pleat. It looks like you can make it with a rectangular neckline or a higher neckline and mandarin collar. I'm thinking this also includes a dicky pattern of sorts, or something to create the effect you see there. Another potentially factory folded pattern, this one for a baby. This I have never seen before. This is a Hollywood bilingual pattern in a size 18, and that design is darling. So it's in English and it's in French. It's quite lucky that I know all 6 of the French words printed on it, considering I know about 10 French words and 4 of them are swear words. So it's marked as being B791. I'm assuming the B stands for bilingual, and it's in a size 18, and it feels like it might be factory folded. It's got a ruffled peplum and a really large collar, which is interesting. This is a size 16 pattern based on Brenda Marshall, the star of The Smiling Ghost. Again, feels like it might be factory folded. It is a kind of loosely fitted, almost vaguely 1920s inspired. Though I suppose it's probably from the 30s actually, and that's why it's got that silhouette to it. It's shaped with darts and has lots of pockets, and then it looks like a partial circle skirt. Or I suppose not, it's a gourd skirt. Cute design, just not one that really appeals to me. Another size 16 one. This one has interesting seaming for the period. It's got long sleeves that look like they extend from the shoulder all the way down to the hem of the skirt, and then there is actually a waist seam at the front panel, and the skirt has lots of volume there with gathers. Again, a neat design, but not one I think would be particularly flattering on me. Slightly more modern packaging from Hollywood Patterns. This one I might keep because the envelope is damaged and it feels poorly folded, which means there might be pieces missing. And it's in a size 18, so it's made for a 36-inch bust and 39-inch hips and would fit me without too many alterations. And it's so darling. It's got an extra wide kind of rounded waistline and a gourd skirt, and then you can make a blouse either with a lapel or with this kind of ruffled detail down the front. It's really, really cute. I kind of want to make everything involved with this. It's darling. This one's also darling, but it's in a size 12, so that's less tempting to me. This closes with a zipper down the front, which you don't see too often, but was done occasionally. It's got a gathered circular looking skirt with an option for pockets. It's got a very wide shaped waistband. The volume for the bust is provided with gathers, and it looks like there might be a dart there, but it's hard to tell. And then you have a puff short sleeve option as well as a bishop sleeve option. I especially love this design. I think it's really nice, and I love that color too. And feels like this might be factory folded or at least neatly folded. Here's a Hollywood pattern in a size 14 made for a 32-inch bust. This has a side placket closure and it's inspired by Bonita Granville of RKO Radio. This is really interesting how it's made. So the bodice and the skirt are cut as one, and then it actually kind of flares out or notches outward below the waist. and those pieces are seamed together and then flattened and ironed to create pleats. So that's the effect you see here where it's fitted through the bodice, and then it's pleated from below the hips and everything is top stitched down to secure those in place. Really neat. And then it's got that side closure, which you don't often see. This one's in a size 16, and it looks like we have some shipping information in the back here, which I'll look at in a sec. This is based on June Havoc of RKO Radio, and I think we saw this in another Hollywood pattern, but you've got a plain gored skirt with optional pockets, and then you have that rounded kind of yoke detail around the shoulder, and an option for puffed sleeves. And I wonder if she was known for having flowers in her hair, because there are two styles with kind of heavily floral HUD pieces, which you don't usually see. Look at that old eBay shipping label. This is listed as April 3rd, 2005. And I actually think this was printed out by the buyer because it seems to show the starting bid, whereas I think that would have kind of disappeared after it was purchased. So that's interesting. This one feels poorly folded, or like it's all been folded up into the bottom, which is not promising. It's in a size 12 for 30-inch bust. I like this design a lot as well. I'd place this at being the mid-40s based off the length. You've just got a gored skirt and then bishop sleeves or short sleeves with a cuff. This is a different envelope style for them. That's a size 14. Got a sweetheart neckline summer dress with a side button closure. And you can also make a jacket with either short or long sleeves to go over top. This feels like it's in good condition, potentially factory folded. Here we have a super cute, potentially very early costume pattern. The style of this looks earlier than some of the other ones we've seen, potentially from the beginning of the 30s maybe. I don't know the exact years they're manufacturing. This is for a fairy or for like a clown, or I guess this is bug. I don't really know. It's labeled as being for 10 years. Yeah, it's for a Periette, a fairy, or a Columbine costume. I'm not fully sure what that means. I might have to Google that and make sure it's not offensive before posting this. This is a pattern for babies. It's very cute. It looks like you can make a sleeping bag, a sack, a binder, a kimono, a dress, a slip, a shirt, or a bib. So many things. So exciting. Very poor shaped envelope though. This has been taped and the tape looks almost like it's rusting, which I didn't know was possible. So I don't know how good of condition that's going to be in. But this is for 2 years and it's for a little boiler suit or potentially a winter suit. I'm not entirely sure, but it's darling. This is a sweetheart neckline gored dress for an 8-year-old. Again, I love the little heart details they've added here, as well as the kind of trim options they've shown here as well. They always just go above and beyond with their artwork. This is an interesting design for them. This is a halter top, which is very daring. And then you also have a jacket option to go with it. I feel like this is what a lot of retro clothing sites think all vintage clothing looked like. Like this style plus a circle skirt is kind of all some brands make, but it is cute and it's nice to have a true vintage example of that. Another pattern for a 1-year-old. It's called a So Simple Design and it's a child's dress, sunsuit, slip, and panty. This is a later Hollywood pattern from the 40s. You've got this jacket with kind of large batwing style sleeves that closes down the front with bows and then a very simple skirt. You can see how crazy that sleeve pattern is here though. That's wild and awesome. I really, really like that. I would just never wear something like that. And it feels in really good shape, like it might be factory folded. Here we have another one I'll be tempted to keep. This is for a jumper and a jacket. It's in a size 20, which is pretty rare to see, and it's based off of Nan Gray from Universal. Actually, I probably won't keep this. I feel like it's too simple for me to keep, but it is very cute. Here we have a mccall's pattern, probably from the 70s. Another mccall's pattern, this one I would guess is from the 60s. This is in a size large, also not suitable for chubby girls. But they do have a mother's and a big sister's matching pattern. And it's recommended for beginners, and it's in a large size 5 to 6. This is a 40s, I would assume, mccall's printed pattern with a transfer in a size 6. The transfer is for a little strawberry heart design, and it looks like a kind of wrap dress or relatively loose dress that ties in the back and closes with buttons. And it feels like it might be complete, but again, won't know until I open it up. More kids patterns. This is another mccall's one with a transfer. I'm assuming the transfer is the little shoe that you see there. And then this is another one printed with a transfer, but I'm not sure what the transfer is for with this one. Here we have some Vogue designer original patterns. These all feel like they have been used. This is by Valentino. Actually, that one looks factory folded and uncut, and the instructions look crisp, so that's good. Really don't know anything about the age or value of these though. This is a Givenchy one. It's kind of an interesting design. We'll take a peek in here too. That one looks like it has been used, but it's neatly folded and I see instructions in there. And then this is a Pierre Cardin original design. And it was photographed in Paris as well. And this one has definitely been used. And I don't see instructions, but I do see a note. So I guess those are the instructions. They're just single-sided. And then someone has written the instructions out in some beautiful, beautiful cursive. I gather to make it easier for them to understand, which I've had to do with some patterns before as well. Look, more Hollywood patterns! This is a doll's wardrobe designed to fit film star dolls. Oh, it says they're cut for 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22 inch dolls. So hopefully that fits like modern American Girl dolls, but I have no idea. This is a 1930s pattern for a 10-year-old. It's number 1910. It's very, very fragile, but the design itself is really cute. You've got a puffed or long sleeve jacket that's fitted with a bow at the back and a coordinating belt, and then a circle skirt of sorts. This says never unfolded from the 1930s or 40s, but that the envelope is damaged, which, as you can see, it is. It's a cool design. It's fitted with darts to the waist, and that's got a very full skirt that opens in the front. Then there's this interesting kind of ruched detail at the hips that's mimicked as the sleeves as well. And the neckline of this is really unusual, with it being kind of large and off the shoulders. And it does, in fact, feel factory folded, which is great. This one is super duper cute. This is based on Ellen Drew of Paramount. I'm definitely gonna have to sit down and have a good think about which Hollywood patterns I end up keeping. This is another one with a really wide waistband, and there are gathers coming up from that to provide volume to the bust. It has puffed sleeves, and you can make it with a lapel or large sailor style collar. It looks like the skirt, yeah, the skirt is heavily gored. The skirt has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, and you cut each of those twice, so that is a 16-piece skirt. So the nice thing about this being close to my size is that I would only have to make teeny tiny minor alterations to those skirt pieces to get a perfect fit. But I don't know if it's fully my style, even though it is very, very cute. This one I wish was in my size. This is the coolest 1940s pattern. It feels factory folded. Unfortunately, it's in a size 12, or fortunately if you are a size 12. And this is based on Rosemary Lane appearing in Four Mothers, a Warner Brothers picture. So I don't know if that was kind of her rise to fame or if this was a promotional pattern for the movie. But it's really cool. It's got this elaborate yoke to it, and then that shape is mimicked with optional pockets. The bodice is fitted with these kind of decorative darts going around the yoke, and then the yoke unbuttons part way. It looks quite simple, and it feels like it might be factory folded in there, but it's still a really interesting, striking look, which I love. This one, it must be earlier, probably from the 30s, because it doesn't have the size listed on it yet, so it's slightly different than some of the other ones we've seen. This is for a 36-inch bust and 39-inch hips, so this is alongside their size 18 patterns. And you've got puffed sleeves and decorative pockets and a gored skirt. I guess you can make it with long sleeves too, and then it's fitted with shirring at the shoulders and at the waist. Here we have what looks like a mature lady on the cover, but is listed as a 12 years pattern. I think the 12 years measurements might align with the measurements for size 12, in which case a woman could easily get away with it too if they're petite. This is inspired by Linda Hayes of RKO Radio. You've got a simple skirt design, and then an interesting sort of blouse with a yoke detail at the shoulder, and a square neckline, and then large bishop sleeves or a more fitted short sleeve. Here we have two men's McCall patterns. This one looks in impeccable condition, and it's for a pair of shorts as well as a jacket. I would almost be tempted to keep that and turn to pajamas, but I probably have enough men's patterns to turn to pajamas, especially since this is in such good condition. I could really send it off to a good home. This is for a men's shirt, and this is worse for wear, but hopefully all of the pieces are there. We have another late 60s or early 70s McCall's pattern. This one's in a size 3, and it looks like it has a few embroidery transfers in here as well, so you can do this detail around the neck or around the pockets. Though I'm not sure what that is supposed to be. What is that? Is that a dinosaur? Is that a turtle? Is it a dino turtle? Like, seriously, what is that supposed to be? Here we have a glove and a tie pattern. I feel like glove patterns are pretty rare and pretty valuable if they're in good shape, but I also feel like they're very easy to download as PDF reproductions, so I'm not sure if people are really out there trying to buy the originals, but that's very nice nonetheless. It says there's 1 tissue pattern piece and 2 heavy pattern pieces, which I've never heard of before. And it's a size medium, so it's for 6.5 inch to 6 3/4 inch. And now I think it is time for another quick little rearranging. We're kind of making progress, but I still feel like I'm less than half the way through. But I guess I'm just gonna keep on going. So here we have a simplicity pattern in a size 18. I feel like this was re-released, or maybe it's just a very common pattern, because I've definitely seen this on Etsy before. But it's in a good size, size 18. And this is for a pajama set, so it's for a pair of pants fitted with tucks, as well as a shirt with a lapel. Depending on the condition of that, I might keep it just because I have been following various vintage patterns or pajama patterns to make myself pajamas, but I also kind of have made enough pajamas. So I don't know that I need another one, but also if this is common, that means it won't go for very much, so that could entice me to keep it. Here's a simplicity pattern for various half blouses or dickies, depending on what you want to call them. So you could wear these underneath suits or just to add a little bit of modesty to an existing dress. This pattern was purchased in Washington, which is where this lot came from. It also looks like it has a date on it, but I can't see what it is right now. And this is in a size small, and it's for what looks like a robe that can also be tied to form a dress. So it looks really simple and really comfortable. It seems like the tissue might be slightly tattered and worse for wear, just based on the fact there is tattered tissue sticking out here. But a very simple pattern. It's described as a Mrs. and woman's coat dress, coat, and robe. And it's really just 6 pieces, and that includes a pocket and a belt and a facing. 2 facings actually, so very, very simple. This is a Simplicity printed pattern from the early 40s, or mid 40s I guess, and it has gathers at the front and then kind of a wrap style jacket, and I'm not sure how this fitted. I don't see any darts in the illustration, so maybe just the volume from the way it's wrapped provides the necessary volume? I don't know, kind of interesting. It's made with 9 pieces, and I've never seen this before. They give you 3/4 of an inch for the underarm seams and 1/2 inch for all the other seams. That makes it easy to let out if need be. I was gonna say this envelope looks perfect, but there's actually a slash across the bottom here, and I guess the waist measurement is circled with pencil. So not perfect, but decent condition envelope for a short set by Simplicity for a waist of 24 inches, and this feels factory folded to me. Here we have a very good, very clean, very white envelope, and this is another Simplicity printed pattern in a size 14. You have a few kind of almost off-the-shoulder blouse designs that are fitted with double darts at the front. So you have 4 darts in total fitting the front, and there's a version with a lapel, and then there's a version with a scallop neckline, arm opening, and then there's a version with a cuffed sleeve as well. Very, very cute and feels factory folded. Another pale looking envelope, another Simplicity pattern. Really love this design, late 40s, early 50s, partial circle skirt, dolman sleeves, which means there's no set sleeve inside of an armhole. It's cut as one with the bodice. And then you've got this interesting rounded neckline, and then underneath it you have this higher neckline that you can make out of contrasting fabric. Feels kind of weirdly folded, but also quite slim, so hopefully it's in good condition. Another Simplicity pattern, this one has a optional, I guess, really interesting overlap detail down the front. There's a whole bunch of math on the cover of it, which is interesting, and it looks like it has kind of some sort of inverted box pleat that is cut in the bottom third of the skirt at the front, which you usually see at the back of a skirt, and it's called like a kick pleat. So it's interesting that they added that to the front. And it looks like you can make this with angular pocket flaps or straight pocket flaps as well, depending on which version you want to construct. And it's fitted with pleats at the shoulder. And yeah, just very, very interesting. This is a mccall's pattern. This is a super vibrant illustration on here. How delightful. So this has a zipper down the front, or an optional zipper down the front, I guess, a partial circle skirt, or not partial circle skirt, a gored but very large gored skirt, and then it has these decorative tabs you can have coming off the collar or at the center of the bodice. You can make this with fitted sleeves with a cuff or very large balloon sleeves. Just very, very interesting. Looks kind of like a junior's pattern to me as opposed to a Mrs., just because it is such a youthful design, but really cute either way. This is a Simplicity pattern that I'm probably going to tape back together just because this whole situation's a little sad, but it's a cool pattern in a size 16 with an asymmetrical front. It looks like it closes with buttons at the front, and you can either have those be hidden or have them be a feature of the dress. And it's fitted with tucks below the waist and darts at the sides of the bodice. And it feels like it might be factory folded in there, but the envelope has been through some stuff, so that does not bode particularly well. I found another layer of Hollywood patterns. So here we have a size 16, late 1940s Hollywood pattern. This has an interesting kind of cut, very wide armhole, and it looks like you have a few different sleeve options. This again has that interesting kind of kick pleat at the front that we just saw, which is made by an inverted double box plate, or at least I'm thinking that's what it is. It has a matching belt and is fitted with tucks at the waist, and it feels factory folded. This is a kids pattern, and this is inspired by Virginia Wielder, a Paramount player, which I hadn't seen before. And this again looks like it's for a children's kind of snowsuit. I feel like I've seen this pattern before, but maybe the children's ones are just starting to blur together, or maybe there are in fact 2 of them. This is a one-size pattern for a slip, a dress, a kimono, and a sleeping bag. This is a size 18 Hollywood pattern, very different style from anything else I've seen today. You've got that large yoke and high neckline with an optional collar. It also has a basque waist, and then it closes down the front and is shaped with darts, and you have optional ruffles, though ruffles are never optional in my opinion. Ruffles are always necessary. This has a super interesting neckline too. This is in a size 14. We've got this really interesting kind of cutout triangle neckline here, and this one's in a size 14. You've got a large waistband with a basque waist and a gathered skirt. I have a pattern very similar to this for another lot, and it's fitted with ties, and then you have a rectangular skirt with decorative pockets and dolman sleeves and a square neckline finished with kind of a facing turned outward. And it's interesting in the way this is cut, that it's cut kind kind of at the top of the hips as opposed to the waist, which was more common. This is a darling 30s pattern. If it's in a larger size, I definitely keep it, but unfortunately it's a size 12. There is some damage to the bottom here, which is kind of crusty and gross, but the pattern feels to be in good condition. The front pieces are cut from the collar to the hem, but then the side pieces are actually fitted to just below the bust, and then there's a separate piece that shapes the bust and is lightly gathered. You can make this with short puffed sleeves or with long sleeves, and there is a full-length version as well as a knee-length version. This is a dress set for 1-year-old, a cape set that feels very used and potentially incomplete for an 8-year-old. This feels to be in great condition. It looks practically brand new. It's described as being factory folded and assumed complete, and this is a dress pattern for a 2-year-old. This also feels like it's in great condition, and this is a Hollywood blouse pattern for a 34-inch bust. Just a few different options, a few different lapel options and pocket placement and trims options, which is always nice to see. I feel like we saw a pattern very similar to this earlier, but they're kind of all merging together right now. And this has an inverted back plate at the back to provide a little bit of extra mobility. This is a rare larger size Hollywood pattern. It's made for a 44-inch bust. So if you consider that a 38-inch bust is a size 20, I'd make this a size 24 by vintage standards, which is interesting. But it is for a robe, and you've got these really cute heart pockets I just love. This looks like a junior's pattern to me. It's a very modern, young style. You've got a square neckline and a jacket with a flouncy peplum and 3/4 length sleeves or short sleeves with a contrasting cuff. The length of this is very short as well, and the skirt itself is fitted with gores. Here's an advanced children's pattern that's seen better days. It's a little stained, and it's in a size 2. This is a New York pattern, which feels like it might be factory folded. It just feels sturdy and like it's in good shape. This is for a fitted skirt, and then you've got this very long jacket with dolman sleeves and a kind of circular peplum, which is just really flattering, especially if you want that effect of a fitted skirt and don't want to deal with the volume of a very full skirt, but still want that kind of shaping over the hips, which is a little bit more flattering if you have a fuller figure. So I really like that. Here's a size 14 simplicity pattern. This feels factory folded to me, but it feels relatively hefty, like there are a lot of pieces in there. And I'm assuming this is for the jacket and the skirt. Yes, they describe it as a Mrs. Two-piece suit. So there's a lined jacket with a center back pleat, which releases a vent. And then there's also the skirt, which also has a box pleat to give you some extra room. This is very similar to another pattern we saw earlier, potentially the same. I feel like everything's murky now. This is a Vogue pattern in a size 16 for an asymmetrical 1960s dress. This is a butterick pattern in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. Again, a 50s dress, has a really cute scalloped pocket detail right here, and then interesting kind of yoke or piecing at the front. The envelope is pinned together and it looks like it has been used, so I'm not fully expecting all the pieces to be there, but we'll see. This feels factory folded, like it's in excellent condition, and this is a Simplicity swimsuit pattern in a size 14. This is adorable. Again, if I was going to make myself a swimsuit, it would look something like this. I just think it is so cute. Then you also have a beach cover-up that comes with it. The envelope is kind of torn in the back, but it's really pretty pristine from the front. And it looks like it has little trunks that go underneath the skirt, so you wouldn't be fully exposed if a wave were to come upon you. This is a buttered pattern. The envelope has been kind of taped or glued or pasted or something onto an extra sheet of paper to help preserve it. It's for a 34-inch bust, so it's probably a size 16, but has worn away. And this is for a jacket or a top and a skirt. So the jacket has kind of a scalloped peplum and an interesting scalloped rounded neckline. Again, has those sleeves that overlap each other, and is shaped with gathers at the shoulder. And it says on the back that all the pieces are there, but I would still count it. Here we have an advanced pattern for some pajamas, a very cute pajama pattern, but I think I have enough of those, especially if I keep that Simplicity one we saw earlier. This is in a size 16 and it feels factory folded, probably from the late 1940s, I would say. Oh, this is so cute and very different from anything else we've seen today. So this is a size 12 advanced pattern from the later 1940s, I'd say. And it's described as being teenage fashion. You've got a partial circle skirt, but you also have this removable peplum as well as this removable collar, which almost looks like a slice of watermelon to me. I think it's really cute. This is an advanced kids pattern in a size 2 for a really cute ruffly dress. This is an advanced pattern in a rare size 20 for 1940s dress or skirt. You make this with short sleeves or long sleeves. You can make the skirt and the blouse separate, and it appears to have a side button placket, which is interesting. And this feels like it could be complete and factory folded. It feels relatively firm, but it does feel a little bit empty towards here, which makes me think it's not. We'll see. This is an advanced pattern in a size 6. This looks like a play on a school uniform, so you can make a short or long sleeve blouse. Then you also have this jumper with facings turned outward around the arm openings and a side button closure and inverted box pleats at the front and back. This is a McCall's jacket pattern in a size 16. The envelope is pretty crisp looking, and it might be factory folded, but it's hard to tell. And it looks like it's shaped with a belt that ties around the waist. A simplicity pattern from the later 1950s, and this is for a very pretty dress with the little pleats at the hem to provide more mobility and optional large pockets. A very bold kind of notched cuff, and it mimics the shape of the collar, which is cute. This feels puffy, like it's been unfolded and potentially used, but from what I see there, it looks uncut, so we'll see. Here we have a Best Way pattern from the 1940s. I've never heard of Best Way or used any of their patterns before, and I actually have a 1940s coat pattern. I think it's by Butterick in my stash that's very similar to this, so I'll pass it on. I think it's super cute with the pleats and the darts and the structure to it, and I really like the hat they paired it with too. This is just a McCall's children's pattern in a size 1, again with a transfer pattern. And this one feels like it has been cut and used, so I would not be surprised if pieces are missing. This is an advanced pattern with some staining to it, but hopefully the pieces inside are okay. This is one of the largest sizes of patterns I've ever seen. It is made for 46-inch bust and 49-inch hips, which is plus sized even by today's standards. This is just a cute gorge skirt with kind of an interesting princess seam detail. So the front pieces are relatively flat, and then the volume for the bust is provided by gathers in the side front panels. Here's a McCall's pattern in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. This feels opened and used based on the way it's folded, but the design itself is very, very sweet with this kind of decorative scallop detail and dolman sleeves and a button-down front. This one came with a little sticky note saying to add ease to the front and back, so I don't know if they actually followed it and those were their own notes or if that means that it's been trimmed by its previous owner, but this is a beautiful 1950s pattern. I think I actually saw someone requesting this pattern in a pattern group I'm in, so perhaps it's quite sought after. But this has an interesting kind of scalloped yoke detail, a sweetheart neckline, and then gathering that shapes over the bust. It looks like it has tucks in the back of the bodice to fit it at the waist and gathers at the front. And then the skirt has almost like a peplum. I think it's called a flounce more officially, but this circular style piece that tapers upward at the back to be more prominent. Very, very nice, flattering design. Here you can see what that flounce looks like. It's a pretty obnoxiously shaped piece to provide that volume and that effect. A very clean McCall's pattern from the 50s in a size 14. Again, this stamped as being from Portland, Oregon, which is close to where this lot came from. This looks factory folded, or feels factory folded to me. We have a rare pattern that isn't inside a plastic bag. This is a New York pattern creation in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. It's a gored jumper shaped with tucks at the waist, and then you can also make a short or long sleeve blouse. And this looks neatly folded but not factory folded. We have a size 8 boys pajama pattern, an immaculate McCall's envelope for a size 6 child dress pattern, another very clean McCall's envelope for a size 3 jumper pattern, another very clean envelope for a children's size 3 overall pattern, a sadly very damaged, deteriorated, kind of a late 30s, early 40s simplicity pattern. This is in a size 14 for a 32-inch bust, and it's very sailor styled in all of the details and in the collar. So this for a 2-piece ensemble, so there is the blouse or the jacket depending on how you want to look at it, and then there is a pleated skirt. Another kids pattern, this is an advance in a size 8, feels factory folded to me, very cute, very full skirt. This is a McCall's children's jumper pattern in a size 6. This is a dewberry, the first dewberry pattern we've seen today, in a size 16, and this is for a jumper or a skirt or a short sleeve or a long sleeve blouse, and I really like the ruffle detail they've done here. I haven't seen that before, and this feels like it would be factory folded. Here we have a 50s or 60s McCall's pattern. Again, this is a printed pattern with an embroidery transfer, so that's an iron-on outline for the embroidery for the garment, and it's for a girl's dress and slip. This is a 1930s boys pattern for a very stylish coat and hat. This is a children's pattern for pajamas, and it's a size 8. This is a size 3 dress pattern. Feels factory folded, but also feels like there isn't very much in there. Alright, suspicion confirmed. Guide sheet only and no pattern pieces. So that's kind of a bummer. This one feels like it might be a similar situation, but we'll have to see. It's in a size 6, and it's just a girl's dress. A very cute dress with like a sweetheart neckline, a tie belt, and ruffles over the sleeves. Just darling. Here's what feels like a factory folded advanced pattern for a baby set. So again, you have a bonnet and a bib and a bag and a I don't even know. All sorts of things for your child. This is a McCall's pattern in a size 13, and the odd sizes are junior sizes. And I like this a lot. You've got kind of an interesting notched back, you've got dolman sleeves, you've got kind of a rectangular yoke at the front and decorative patch pockets. Just really, really cute and feels like it might be okay. I was gonna say factory folded, but it says missing belt strap. So I guess not. I'm also not sure what a belt strap would be. This is a very deteriorated envelope, but also feels like it could potentially be factory folded. This has a really interesting sleeve pattern. I've never seen sleeves quite like that in a pattern before. So this is for a dress with an optional peplum with an interesting kind of cutout neckline. It's shaped with darts, both the skirt and the bodice. It's in a size 16 for a 35-inch bust. The thing about Junior's patterns is that they're cut larger through the hips in proportion to the bust. So they actually tend to fit me better than the woman's patterns. This is another potentially factory folded, but who knows, McCall's printed pattern, and it says October 1947 on it. And this has large elbow-length balloon sleeves as an option, and then also not very fitted long sleeves. And again, you have optional decorative pockets over the chest. You have an optional tie at the neckline. It looks like the skirt is shaped with gathers and a pleat towards the front, and then it closes with buttons down the front. And actually this does look like it has been cut out, but also appears neatly folded, which is good. This is another McCall's pattern with, it's not quite a princess seam, but it's almost like a princess seam. It's kind of an angular seam that leads into the arm side of the bodice, and then the bust has volume provided with gathers. It's got a gored skirt. It feels like it could be factory folded, but who knows? And it's in a size 16. Actually, no, again, not factory folded. You can see a edge sticking out here that has been cut with pinking shears. This one is in a size 18, and it feels quite thin, which makes me think it might be missing pieces, which is never good. But this is a really cool design. You've got a gored skirt with decorative top stitching as an option. You've got this yoke front that you can insert ruffles into, and then it's shaped with gathers instead of darts or anything finicky, which is always nice. Here's another kids pattern. This is a McCall's printed pattern with transfer. I feel like I've seen this before. But it's a very clean envelope. It's in a size 2, and that is what the transfer looks like. It's a rose design. This is a very clean looking kids pattern by Advance in a size 3 for a jacket and a bonnet. And on the back here it says wrong envelope, which is not promising. So this is one they clearly followed before, so I guess they were more than just a collector. They did actually follow these patterns. This is a McCall's pattern in size 14. They've labeled that all pieces are pre-cut, no adjustments needed, except add 1 to 2 inches to back belt section to better fit. So that's interesting. And it's a relatively simple dolman sleeve style dress. Another McCall's pattern. This feels like it's missing pieces or just doesn't have very many pieces to it. This is probably from the late 40s, I would say. Actually, I guess it could be even from the early 40s too. It's always hard to tell with blouse patterns, kind of going off the shoulder shape. This is just a nice blouse pattern with a back yoke. It's shaped with pleats. And I really like the pocket placement here and the set-in sleeves. And then you've got an option for a bishop sleeve as well. Here we have a very sad looking simplicity pattern in a size 16. I would not be surprised if it's missing pieces given its condition, but there do seem to be a lot of pieces there, which I guess is promising. And there's still more to go through, but my camera battery is flashing at me, so I think it is time for a break. Alright, so it's been about half an hour. I took a little break, recharged my batteries and my camera batteries, and here we go. Probably got another 100 or so left to go through. So right here I have a buttered pattern with part of the lady's face missing. This is a 1960s pattern for a dress with a shawl collar, darts that fit it to the waist, and then kind of a flouncy top. It feels like it might be pretty neatly folded in there. The instructions do appear to be present, but the envelope has definitely seen better days. Another 60s pattern. This one is in a size 16. This one feels like it has been used. It feels quite puffy, but I do see the pieces and instructions in there, which is a good sign. This is for a 1960s suit. It has a very large collar that kind of starts or comes outward from a front seam, which is interesting, and then 3/4 length sleeves. I'm assuming, yeah, it's a skirt and a jacket as opposed to being a single piece, single dress. Actually, the copyright for this is 1958, so I was wrong about it being from the 60s. This is another very 60s-esque looking one, though I guess it could be from the late 50s. Again, just a pattern for a jacket and a skirt. This one feels like it might be factory folded. It's by Advance. It's in a size 16. Here we have a buttered pattern. The envelope for this one has definitely seen better days. It's like coming apart into 2 pieces, but it looks uncut and unused, and the instructions are in there, which is good. This is in a size 16. It's got an interesting kind of notched neckline detail. It's got a relatively full skirt, but it's fitted at the front with tucks, which is neat. This is another, I would guess, early 60s design. This feels factory folded. It's by Advance. It's a size 16, and it's got really cool kind of notched cutouts for the sleeves, not the traditional armhole you're used to seeing. And then it's fitted with tucks in the skirt, and it's fitted with gathers at the waist. I really like that design. I don't think it's something I would personally wear, but I do really like it. I mentioned earlier that a McCall's pattern had kind of a laminated feeling envelope, and this one has that as well. But this is a simplicity pattern in a size 16. It has dolman sleeves, but there is a gore at the underarm to provide more mobility. And it looks like it has pockets and a cute little pointed collar and then a front placket. And a little bit of a peplum effect going on, just in the way that it is pleated or darted. You can make 3/4 length sleeves or short sleeves, and both options have a cuff. Another one of those laminated simplicity envelopes, probably from a similar era, but this one is in a size 14. This is a wrap style top, again with dolman sleeves. It's got an interesting notched neckline and double darts to fit it at the front. This is a very late 50s or early 60s ensemble, so it looks like you can make a dress, a skirt, a jacket, or a vest. So you have lots of options here, and they actually managed to accomplish that with only 14 pieces, which is neat. Here we have a simplicity pattern that looks very slim, so I'm not sure if there just aren't very many pieces or if it's missing pieces. This is in a size 3, and it's backed with cardboard, so we can't see what the pattern is supposed to look like. Here we have a factory folded McCall's pattern, and I think this is another one of those skirt patterns, yeah, proportioned skirt. So you have 3 different patterns for 3 different heights. And I'm not sure if this is the same number as the other one we saw, but it is similar in terms of design at least. This is an advanced pattern from the later 50s. It's very, very cute. It's in a size 16. You've got a relatively sharp looking collar and these decorative patch pockets at the front. They're optional though, and it's shaped with tucks at the waist and double darts in the side seam to provide adequate volume to the bust. And this feels like it might be factory folded and uncut and unused. Another potentially factory folded pattern, this feels very firm. This is a simplicity pattern in a size 16. You've got pleats around the neckline and a front closure, and then these darts that keep it very fitted. Looks like there's an option for having pockets right at the hem as well. And this is a dolman sleeve, I think. So the sleeve is cut as one with the bodice. Then there's actually a seam down the shoulder to provide shaping to the sleeve. So you can see that in a little bit more detail there. This feels very flimsy, and I would not be surprised if pieces are missing, but this is a size 16 simplicity pattern from the 60s. It's a very cute little blouse pattern. You've got several options, one with a normal collar, one with no collar at all, one with a collar and lapel, and then this front flounce. Then you also have a short sleeve option with cuffs, as well as an elbow length option with flounces, which is really, really cute. It looks like they actually do include patterns for all of those ruffles as well. Here we have an Ann Adams pattern, so mail order pattern from the 1960s. This appears to be cut and used with inking shears, but the instructions look like they might be in good shape. And I think this is a cutout of the newspaper that they ordered it from, because that's where most mail order patterns came from. Here we have a McCall's pattern from the 60s in a size 16. This is a cute blouse pattern. You've got an option with no collar and just the front closure. Then you've got an option with the front closure and a shawl collar, a very wide shawl collar. Then you have an option with what also looks like a shawl collar, or I guess they're not even shawl collars. They're just kind of reminiscent of ones. And this one has a tie at the front as well. And this is shaped with darts at the bust and gathers at the waist. And then it's got a little kind of notched tiny peplum, so you could wear this tucked in or with that over top of a fitted skirt. Very nice, and feels like it might be factory folded in there. This does not look factory folded, but the edges I can see look uncut. This is a size 16 jacket pattern. It has dolman sleeves, so very, very simple to put together, I imagine. Yeah, you've got 7 pieces, and that's including a full lining. So this, I imagine, would be very easy. It's described as being a quick and easy topper, cut in 1 sleeves. Very, very cute. And as I said, feels maybe not factory folded, but probably unused. This is a buttered pattern in a size 16 for a 1960s blouse. They describe it as the suit blouse, I guess because it is quite reminiscent of the lines you would see on a tailored suit. Let's actually quickly go through some of these later patterns as well. These aren't super exciting, but I do want to get them out of the way. We have another McCall's pattern that feels like it might be factory folded, and this is in a size 10 for a 60s blouse. This is probably a later 60s pattern, I would imagine. It feels factory folded and appears to be in excellent condition. Actually, on the back it says copyright 1967. This has a wide waistband, a zipper down the back, and then shaped with gathers above and below the waistband. This one is also in great shape and dated as being from 1967. Just a loose shift dress in a size 13. This also feels factory folded, is another one of those proportional skirt patterns where they have a petite, a average, and a tall size. This is from 1968 and it's a simplicity pattern. Very cute with a longer and a shorter option. And it's in a size 10 if I didn't say that already, so it's probably made for a junior. Here we have, I'm assuming this is the 1970s pattern, it should say on it. Yep, 1970. This is a simplicity pattern, and you can make a jacket, a pair of pants, or a skirt out of this. Another Simplicity pattern in a size 10. This one is from 1970 as well, just kind of a shapeless shift dress. These all feel factory folded, by the way. They feel like they're in great condition. This is a 1960s blouse pattern described as being quick and easy. It's in a size 10 or 10-12, and again feels factory folded. And then here we have a proportion to your height pattern for pants and shorts. Again, feels factory folded, and it's intended for a 25.5-inch waist and 36-inch hips. Another one that feels factory folded by Simplicity. This guy is from 1967. And you have a few different jacket options in this one. And I like the styling on this one with the fishnets and the large boots. It's very 60s, very cute. This one feels factory folded as well. It's in a size 36, and this is part of their 4-yard line, so I gather it takes 4 yards of fabric to make. Again, the sleeves are cut in one with the bodice, and it's sort of shapeless on the top, but then very fitted below the waist. Here we have another kids pattern. This one feels girthy in terms of the envelope, and again, it's supposed to come with a transfer. Could be factory folded and just have a lot of pieces. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the case because it says 27 pieces here. Oh god, I hope this is factory folded so I don't have to count them all. But if it isn't, then I will, and I will suck it up and probably try and sell it for more than it's worth because I went to all of the effort to count 27 pieces. This one says 1 skirt piece only on it, so that's not particularly helpful. This is a Simplicity blouse pattern, which has since been reissued, and this feels like it is missing pieces as well. It just feels very thin and flimsy. I have another copy of this pattern in my stash that I got as part of another lot, and it was missing pieces as well. Maybe I can combine the two and come up with something usable. But this has been reissued if you're interested in buying it. This is so pretty. This is a 1950s pattern by Simplicity. It's for a very striking dress with kind of this gathered collar detail that has a tab that comes up to encompass a bow. Then it's a matching belt, a gored skirt, and they also have a jacket that you can make to go with it. I really, really like that as an ensemble. It reminds me of something Mrs. Maisel would wear. Here we have what might be a factory folded or might be missing pieces, McCall's pattern. The envelope is in great shape aside from some staining, or not even staining, just some darkening due to age, and it's in a size 14 for a 32-inch bust. This is quite fitted at the waist, so it would be ideal for tucking into things or wearing over top of things, and it's from the 1940s, I'm sure. And it's got really interesting pin tuck details down the front. Here we have a Hollywood pattern. This one is kind of worse for wear, but it's in a size 16. It's inspired by Jane Bryan, who starred in Hero for a Day, a Warner Brothers production. You've got this relatively full skirt that has pleated details at the side and a little cummerbund, and then this blouse that you can make with either long or short sleeves that tucks over the shoulders. A Simplicity pattern in a size 16. It's dated as 1950. I like this a lot. It's a really cute, very kind of modern almost looking suit, just very fashion forward looking. I like this a lot, from the shape of the lapel to the overall shape of the skirt to the little lap detail at the back to the wing cuffs. It's just very, very striking. I like that a lot. Here's a 1930s McCall pattern. This is a child's dress and panty set in a size 6, and it feels like it might be factory folded. This is a McCall's pattern, and this is in a size 16, so it's for a 34-inch bust. The envelope has clearly seen better days, but hopefully the tissue itself is in okay condition. This is a 1940s suit. It's a very nicely fitted suit with 2 color options, one that's significantly larger and more dramatic than the other. Here we have a robe pattern, or a house dress pattern. I'm not sure which they would call it. I really like this. I just don't wear robes. I wish I did though. I think I would feel so glamorous in them, but I just get too warm to be bothered with them. This one feels like it might be missing pieces. It feels very flimsy and thin, but I like this design a lot. It's a size 16, probably from the late 30s, early 40s. You've got kind of a lightly flared skirt, and then you've got this open front bodice. It's almost like a jumper, and then it reveals a half blouse underneath, or I guess it could be a full blouse, but they include a pattern for a partial blouse. Very, very cute though. Here we have a McCall's printed pattern for a bassinet without legs, a bassinet with legs, and a bassinet with drapery. I'm not sure if anyone is making things like these anymore, but I will do my best to sell it. It's probably from the 1940s, I would say. This is another McCall's pattern with a transfer for toddlers, overalls, and a stuffed toy. This in a size 2. This is a child's bathrobe in a size 1. It's a pretty immaculate looking envelope, to be honest. This is a super cute, again, printed pattern with transfer, and it's for a girl's sunsuit in a size 6. Feels like it might be factory folded. Here we have a lovely printed McCall's pattern in a size 16 for a 1930s evening gown. This is beautiful. I love the off-the-shoulder style. I love the flounced portion of the skirt. You can see the kind of volume that lower portion has here compared to the upper back portions. It's just beautiful. I really hope it's complete. I don't think I would keep it, but it's just stunning. I like it a lot. very elegant and something you could see people still wearing today. Here we have a very old looking advanced pattern. I've never seen that kind of font work on them before. This is described as being a girls and juniors frock. It's probably from the 1930s and it is in a size 10. This is another advanced pattern in a size small, so a size 2 to 4. And it is for, I think, pajamas. Yeah, 2 pajama set. Here we have a torn envelope that's been taped from the inside, but hopefully the instructions and pattern are okay. This is a simplicity pattern for a jacket in a size 16. We have another Dewberry pattern. This one, it feels factory folded. It feels in excellent condition, and the illustration itself is so vibrant. I like it a lot. This in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. You've got a tiered lapel, and then you've got tucks over the shoulder and pleats at the front of the skirt. Just a very classic 1940s design. Here we have a McCall's pattern that feels like it might be factory folded. This is in a size 14 for a 34-inch bust. You've got this really nice draped collar at the front and a fitted ruched cummerbund, and then you've got tucks forming the skirt at the front and pleats in the back that provide extra volume. It's a really, really interesting design. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. So I'll have to do some research and see if any of those have sold before, because it's that sort of evening style that I could see going for quite a bit. Here we have a very damaged printed McCall's pattern in a size 16 for some very cute blouses. You have quite a few different cuff options here, as well as sleeve lengths. You've got different collar options too. You can have this very large rounded collar or just a fitted upright collar with a little bow at the front. Both are very, very cute. This is a McCall's envelope that seems to be in really pretty good shape. You've got this relatively simple 1950s or late 1940s dress with a scalloped collar and then a little jacket that goes over top of it. This is a butterick skirt pattern in a size 30, so it's for a 30-inch waist and 39-inch hips. It has pockets and it buttons down the front and it's shaped in the back with darts. This is a McCall's pattern that might also be factory folded. It is in a size 28, so it's for a 28-inch waist, and it's a Mrs. Culottes pattern. Very, very cute. If it was a little bit larger, I'd keep it, but I don't think it would fit my hips particularly well. But it does look just darling, and hopefully it's still in good shape. The envelope itself is in nice shape. Here we have another Hollywood pattern, and this is a 12 years pattern, and it's just for a nice long coat. And it has a hat pattern too, so it has a little pillbox hat style hat pattern as well, which is cute. Speaking of cute, this is a McCall's printed pattern for 8 stuffed toys. It does not feel like there's very much in this envelope, which is not particularly promising. I have seen pattern or copies of this pattern sold online, so I don't know if the original has very much value to it, especially if none of the pieces are there, which I have a hunch might be the case, but now I own it, so that's something. This feels like it's been used or at least refolded, and this is a simplicity skirt pattern for a 30-inch waist and 39-inch hips. This pattern is beautiful. This is a simplicity pattern probably from the end of the 30s, and it's got, oh gosh, it's just so pretty. So it's got little slashes at the collarbone where inserted gathered pieces are added to provide volume over the bust. It's gathered underneath the bust as well, which is then fitted to this quite elaborate scalloped waistband. And the waistband ends in a point, which then lines up with the center seam of the skirt. Very, very cute, and it's listed on the back as being from 1941. So this says 1940s printed pattern, think all there, front cut, some pieces perforated. So the envelope has been through some stuff on this, but it's a cute pattern nonetheless. So this is a simplicity pattern in a size 16. It's got kind of an interesting yoke detail over the shoulder, and then it's pleated at the front. And it feels neatly folded, so I hope all of the pieces are there. This one says the date is illegible on the instructions and it's cut, but they think all the pieces are there. This is in a size 16, and it's for a really nice, interesting McCall's pattern with this kind of large boxy yoke on it. I like this a lot. There was another blouse pattern I was interested in keeping, but I might decide between that one and this one because I really like this as well. And you can make 3/4 length sleeves with a flared cuff, or full length sleeves with a rectangular cuff, or just a short sleeved option with no cuff at all. This is a McCall's pattern in a size 20. I love seeing larger sizes. This has dolman sleeves, no lapel, and it's fitted with gathers at the shoulder. And then you've got a heavily cored skirt. There are quite a few pieces in the back providing extra volume there, and then it's a little bit flatter at the front. This feels like it might be factory folded. Another McCall's, this one is in a size 13, so it's for a 31-inch bust. This one doesn't feel like it's factory folded, but it feels neatly folded. And this is probably from the late 40s, early 50s. And it's got a really cute kind of yoke with gathers coming down from it. And then the front of the skirt is gathered and it's fitted at the back with darts. And you've got these really large patch pockets on the front, and the top edge flips downward to create a little triangular detail that kind of mimics the collar. This is an old butterick pattern in a size 32 or size 14 for a 32-inch bust. You have a pleated skirt with the pleats tacked down to provide more shape, and a covered matching belt, and then a top with just a very simple yoke over the shoulders with gathers coming down from that to provide volume to the bust, and tucks coming up from the waist to provide shape. And this feels weirdly folded. It doesn't feel like there's any tissue past this point, which sometimes means the instructions aren't there either, but we'll have to see. I feel like we've come across a pattern very, very similar to this, if not identical to this, but this is a butterick printed pattern in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. You've got those armhole cutouts once again, a really unusual scalloped arm side, and then scalloped decorative pockets and a scalloped neckline as well. This is a child size 3 simplicity printed pattern. Looks like you can make a camisole or bloomers or a bonnet or a skirt, so you have lots of options there. This is an advanced pattern in a size 4. It is a self-help smocked dress and panties, which is an interesting way of putting it, and it includes a transfer for the smocking placement, so hopefully that is still included. Here we have a few more kids patterns. We have a McCall's boys slacks and shirt suit. This is in a size 4, and this feels like it might be factory folded. This is a child one-piece pajama costume, and it's also very, very cute, and it's in a size 3. This is another printed pattern with transfers in a size 4 for a little girl's dress with a yoke and lots of ruffles. Then this is a very hefty feeling envelope McCall's printed pattern designed by Helen Lee for a child's dress, jumper, coat, and hat. So you can make a whole lot of things out of that one. I feel like I've been talking for so long, so I think I'm just going to quickly go through and pull out the rest of the kids ones and the rest of 1960s ones, which I don't think we really need to go through, and I'll just show you whatever good ones for the 40s are left. I'm also going to take a little break to arrange the ones I've shown you thus far. Alright, so I think I'm down to like 20 patterns, so hopefully we can go through these pretty quick. Right on top here I have 2 McCall's patterns that feel factory folded in a size 26. So we have one that's sort of a partial circle skirt with patch pockets, and then we have one that is a half circle skirt, or I guess it's a full circle skirt once you cut everything out. This is a McCall's pattern for a woman's and misses jumper, dress, or skirt, or blouse. It's in a nice size 18 and feels like it could be factory folded. Again, just a really simple kind of casual design, but it would be really practical for any wardrobe. And I actually like the illustration on this one a lot, just the simplicity to it. Here's a McCall's pattern where a poor lady is losing her foot. This is just for a dress that has extra volume at the back. It appears to be shaped with darts and have pockets at the front. And then you've got dolman sleeves and the option for a cute flared cuff. And this I don't think is factory folded. It's in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. Another McCall's one, and this feels factory folded. It's in a size 16 for a 34-inch bust. You've got a cord skirt and a relatively wide cut neckline with an interesting lapel, and then a few different sleeve length options, some of which have cuffs and some of which do not. And this feels like it might be factory folded, but it also feels relatively thick, but I think that could just be because there are so many pieces in there. Another McCall's one, this in a size 13 with a very cute jacket. The front piece goes from the shoulder to the hem, and then the side pieces stop at the waist, and then there's a seam where a little peplum attaches. And then the back pieces are again from shoulder to hem, and it looks like just a simple kind of rectangular skirt that goes with it. There are a lot of pieces in there because they have facing for all of the peplum sections, so that'll be a fun one to count. Here we have a McCall's pattern. It's a junior's dress in a size 13. So you have this kind of dolman sleeve style dress with ruching at the shoulders, and then these very, very large pockets down the front. More McCall's here. So this is an asymmetrical bodice that closes with buttons. Then you have a short and a long sleeve option. This in a size 16. You've got one pocket on the opposite side, and then the front is relatively flat, but the sides are shaped with gathers. And again, looks kind of complicated, but it's very, very cute. Yet another McCall's, this one in a size 14, I think, for a 32-inch bust. So it's a very large rectangular collar and then a gathered skirt. It's described as being a missus dress, and it also says that the collar and cuffs are detachable, which is sort of neat. And this feels like it could be factory folded. More McCalls. This is in a size 12 for a 30-inch bust. You have a teenage suit dress. So you have what I'm assuming is supposed to be coordinating jacket and skirt that are worn together. And the skirt is basically just a play on a circle skirt, and then the jacket is, I don't know, fitted with darts, has a lapel down the front, sort of what you would expect. Here's another McCall. The envelope for this one is sort of torn, but the pattern itself is cute. It's in a size 16. You have a skirt with options for pockets in the side seam, or sorry, like front side panel, front seam. The front appears to be shaped with 6 tucks and then darts underneath the underarm. You have the option for kind of an open neckline or to have it button completely closed. And then you can also insert little tabs or ruffles into the yoke seam as well, which is cute. Another McCall's, another 1940s design in a size 14. This feels like it might be factory folded. You've got these heavily pin-tucked yoke at the front and then it's shaped with darts. You've got kind of a wing cuff going on situation, and then you also have that mimicked by the shape of the collar. And I don't know if I said it or not, but this feels like it might be factory folded, and there are quite a lot of pieces in there. So again, that'll be a fun one to count. I think this is the last one from McCall's. It feels maybe factory folded as well. This is a Mrs. dress that has a very, very full skirt that begins kind of at the top of the hips, and it's in size 14. And it looks quite simple to make. It's described as being simple to sew, I think, because it has dolman sleeves and is shaped with darts, so you don't have to worry too much about getting seams to line up or to actually set sleeves, which is always a challenge. There are a few better patterns left. This one is very, very hefty. The envelope is almost like 2 inches thick, but this is a printed pattern in a size 16 for a skirt with pleats. It's sort of a circular skirt with pleats to shape it, and then a fitted jacket with pockets. I found 2 more McCalls hiding out. So this is a Mrs. dress, negligee, or unlined jacket. So there's a garment with options. It's basically a very loose dress that you can get more form-fitting by pairing with a belt, or you can cut it short to be a jacket, or you can just leave it beltless and have it be a negligee, I guess. Though I don't find that to be a particularly sexy look. Maybe that's just me. This one feels kind of damaged and like it's not in the best shape, but this is a 2-piece suit in a size 16. It's a 1940s pattern. I really like the tailoring on this. It's shaped with tucks over the hips, and then you've got optional pockets. You've got an inverted box pleat at the back, and sort of a peplum thing going on, and then a very fitted skirt to go with it as well. Here we have a Hollywood pattern in a size 16. This is a cute design. It's inspired by Wendy Berry of RKO Radio. You've got bishop sleeves or a short sleeve option. You can make it with this with long skirt or short skirt or with optional pockets. Just very cute, lots of options. Doesn't feel factory folded, but feels hefty, so hopefully all the pieces are there. Actually, here's another McCall's. This is a Mrs. Housecoat in 2 lengths with transfer monogram. I'm not sure oh, that's the monogram. I don't know what you would do if it's not your name in the monogram, or if they include all the different letters. Who knows? But it's a cute pattern for a robe nonetheless. Here we have an advanced pattern that feels factory folded in a size 14. I'm forgetting what this type of hemline's called, but basically the skirt is cut to twice the length it will eventually be, and it's folded in half, and then the one edge is tacked to the inside of the lining to create that kind of balloon effect at the bottom. It's basically just created out of rectangles, so it's quite simple to do, but it definitely gives you a different effect, and that feels factory folded, if I forgot to say that. 2 more advanced patterns that feel factory folded. This first one is in a size 20. You've got a very large flared lapel, and then you've got flared cuff options as well. It's got darts kind of going in on a diagonal, which is interesting, and then a cord skirt. This one is super cute. This is for a house coat, I'm assuming. You've got a relatively full skirt with very large pockets, one of which options has kind of decorative tops on them. Then you've got this option for a very large lapel as well. You also have an option to insert ruffles into the dolman sleeves. It's just cute. It's got a lot going on, but it's very, very cute. And another one I'd probably be tempted to keep if it was in my size, but it is not. This is, I can't see the size information, a size 14 pattern. It doesn't feel factory folded, and it's described as part of their teenage fashion line. You have an option for this kind of angular flared lapel and no sleeves, or an option for the same lapel with little puffed sleeves. Very, very cute dress. They're clearly trying to make it clear that this has a very full skirt. It's made with a circle skirt, so that explains it. And yeah, just very sweet. Another advanced pattern which could be factory folded. It's a size 11 and described as being so easy. It is a bodice fitted with darts with a wide off the shoulder, or almost off the shoulder neckline. It's got a circle skirt to skirt, tiny little cuffs, and an optional cummerbund. This is, I think, a square dancing costume. I'm not sure, but it's a tiered ruffled skirt, which is very, very cute, and then you have this little blouse to wear with it as well. So I'm assuming, yeah, it's 2 pieces. Very darling. It's in a size 13, so it's made for a 31-inch bust. We have 2 batik patterns. This one, or I'm assuming they're both from the 1950s actually. This one is just for a shawl, which isn't very exciting, and it's one size. And then this one is for a shirt, and this is a really cute design for a shirt. It's kind of interesting. It goes off the shoulder, and then it's got like this cutout at the front, which a gathered piece is inserted into to provide volume over the bust. And then you can leave it sleeveless and just have it kind of hanging over the shoulders, or you can actually insert a puff sleeve into that. Never seen anything quite like it before, and it feels factory folded, which is awesome. On the back it says date, 50s, uncut, original folds, all pieces. Very nice. This is an advanced 1-yard skirt pattern that they claim you can make in 1 hour, and it's for a 24-inch waist. This is an advanced pattern in a size medium. This is probably I was going to say beach cover up, but they describe it as Miu Miu, and you have 2 different lengths and 7 pieces to construct it. This feels like it could be factory folded. This is another one that feels like it could be factory folded, and it's an asymmetrical bodice that closes on the side. It's got kind of a yoke detail at the front, and then a square neck that has a little lapel coming off of it. You've got dolman sleeves, which are always nice, and a cute little flared cuff. You also have an optional pocket in one of the side seams to kind of balance out the asymmetry. This is a simple 50s pattern with a circle skirt, and it's in a size 14. Actually, they describe it as being from September 6, 1949, so I guess not a 50s pattern, but it's pretty close. The envelope has been taped, but it does feel relatively sturdy, like all the pieces might be there. I love this pattern so much, I wish it was in my size. This is an advanced pattern that feels factory folded in a size 12, which means it's made for a 30-inch bust and 25-inch waist. You've got this heavily pleated skirt with optional decorative pockets, and then this sort of vest thing that actually closes at the side with a buckle. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I really, really like it. I have 2 more butteriques that snuck by me. So here we have one that is listed as being from the 40s with a question mark next to it. And it's just for a bed jacket with kind of optional gathered details over the shoulder, and it feels like it might be factory folded. And then this one feels like it's missing pieces, but we'll see. This is a butterick printed pattern in a size 28, so for a 28-inch waist and 37-inch hips. And it's just a fitted pattern with inverted box pleats to provide volume. This is a pattern that I've seen for sale recently over on Etsy, so I don't think it's too high in demand, especially not in this poor condition. But this is a jacket pattern, so you can make a jacket out of it or a blouse out of it. It's sort of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a shirt you wear over a shirt, but not quite a jacket. I think it's supposed to be made out of lighter weight fabrics. So you have an option with a drawstring, an option with pockets, an option with short sleeves and long sleeves without pockets and long sleeves with pockets. You can just kind of play around with it and do what you want with it. So a nice pattern, but not one I'm compelled to keep. And then lastly, we have this advanced pattern in a size 12. So it's for a 30-inch bust and 33-inch hips. This feels factory folded, and it's very cute. It's got almost a Bertha, like off the shoulder collar that reminds me of Civil War era dresses. And it's got a basque waist and a very heavily gathered rectangular skirt. So that is it. I'm actually kind of disappointed because some of the patterns I was most interested in that I saw in photos from them weren't included. So I'm going to have to text them or call them and see what's up with that, because I really want those patterns. They were from the 30s and they looked fantastic. And if I end up being able to get my hands on those, then there might be a part 2 to this. We'll see. But for now, I'm just going to organize these and then go downstairs where there's air conditioning, because I've had to have it off this whole time so I can talk to you without it whirring away in the background. But rest assured, I'll be back to do some organizing with these later on, because I love me some organizing.